And welcome to IllinoisPrep.com Team 8 playoff preview. Crystal Lake South 9-0, looking really tough in Class 6A. And they didn't have an easy road. A lot of playoff teams on their schedule.
6 playoff teams that they beat on the way to becoming 9-0. So it's not like they were playing cream puffs. They were playing some really good teams. But not only that, we're looking at the brackets, and a lot of the teams that they beat are on the same side of the bracket as them,
including their first round opponent, Grant. It was 5-4. They get them in the first round. Prairie Ridge is the 4 seed in their bracket, so if they went out, that could be a quarterfinal matchup. And then Cary Grove is the 11 seed, and I actually have them playing Crystal Lake South in the semifinals. And we talk about how, it's tough to beat a team twice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they might have to beat 3 teams twice.
And that's the thing. Crystal Lake South, 9-0, one of the best records they've had in the program of the school, history of the school, and that's the thing. They have a target on their back from everybody that they beat. Most of these games were pretty close, within a couple touchdowns, but 3 of those teams are going to be coming back and saying, you're not going to beat us twice. You may have done it once, but you're not going to come back and beat us twice.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's got to be a little hard. I mean, because what was the final score of the game against Grant?
The game against Grant, the final score was 41-12.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you get your guys up for a team that you beat by 30?
Yeah.
Granted, it's the playoffs.
That's when it's scary. That's when it's bad. If you can't get your team up,
I know, and that's what I'm talking about. If they were playing, looking on the other side, one of the 8s at Batavia or Collinsville, it'd be like, this is a fresh opponent. Haven't played them before. We're going to go out and show them how good we are. Well, they already know Grant knows how good they are.
Yeah. And
so it will be interesting to see if they come out and put another thumping on Grant, or if Grant hangs around because of the knowledge of what Crystal Lake's going to do, but also just because they're hungrier than Crystal Lake.
Yeah, well, Crystal Lake, this is their first undefeated season in the school's history, led by quarterback Drew Ormseth.
Yep.
Last game went 6 for 11, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe 153 rushing yards, so huge
Just
game.
a all purpose. Yeah, and he's throwing it up to Trevor Jones and Kenny King, and when he's not, hitting off to Keen Lupe. I think that, again, Crystal Lake South is my favorite. I have them as the state champions, but it is definitely an interesting twist that they got all these conference and regular season opponents on their side of the bracket, because you would think that an effort would be made to avoid that. Because, going back to the NCAA tournament, I've talked about that. That's like one of the things they make an effort to do is, don't make a conference team play another team in their conference until the Elite Eight or the Final Four. But boom, right off the bat, there's Grant. You'd think at the very least they could have swapped some 5-4 teams around.
Yeah, it's almost like they didn't even look, didn't see what conference these certain teams were in, or who played who and stuff like that. But I also think on the flip side of that, you get to a point where, okay, this team played that team and this team's in the same conference. So sometimes it gets hard. Maybe they're just saying, let's just let the cards, fall where they lay, and just, whoever's playing.
Well, then I think the biggest thing to look out for is Cary Grove on that side of the bracket, the defending 6A state champs. We had them in our preseason top 10, and they got exposed a little early, but similar to what Maine South and Montini pulled off, Cary Grove 6-3, right in the thick of things, and I don't think you can underestimate what it means to be the defending state champions, have that pride, and say, someone's going to have to come and take it from us.
Yeah, well, the thing that Cary Grove has now that Crystal Lake South doesn't have for them is that Cary Grove has now been there. They went 14-0 last year. They won the state championship. They know what it feels like. They have several guys on the team who was there that whole time. Crystal Lake South hasn't had that. They had a great year last year. They went 9-2, and they're trying to get to that point where they expect to be in the playoffs in the later part of the season.
Well, and Cary Grove has, they played Crystal Lake South pretty tough at Crystal Lake South.
Yeah.
And so they're certainly going to have that motivation to know that, Crystal Lake South didn't blow us out. You know, it was a game.
A couple possessions here and there, you change it right around.
Yeah, and so that is so dangerous.
Yeah.
To think a team can say, okay, all we need to do is clean a couple things up, and it could go our way. And I think we talked about how tough Joliet Catholic's path is. Hats off to Crystal Lake South if they make this run through all these teams, beating them a second time, and possibly having to do that 3 times just to make the title game. And then looking out for a team, I've got Danville there, who's a downstate power, played for some state titles. They're 9-0.
Yeah.
You know, they could see a Marmion, who's sort of having a breakout season. Marmion, not a traditional power. There's some good teams on that other side too, Geneva. And even though it's been, we've talked about how there's 6A's sort of down, and Crystal Lake South's clearly the team. It's such a twist to have all these conference teams.
Oh yeah, if Crystal Lake South can make it through and be state champions this year for the 6A playoffs, then hats off to them. Really deserve it because they're gonna have to go through a lot of teams that are licking their chops to really take them down. So it'll be a tough road, but you know if they can make it, then they really deserve it.
I've said they're my champ. Are they your champ? You got your eye on anybody else in 6A?
No, I haven't seen too many other teams that I think can give Crystal Lake South a go. I think that it's going to be tough for Crystal Lake South to get there, but at the same time, I think they're the most talented team in 6A this 2010 year.
Yep, we're in agreement there. So that'll do it for our team preview for Crystal Lake South. Eric and I have both put the Illinois Prep jinx on them to win the state title. So hopefully that doesn't bite them on their road to Champaign. And when we come back next time, it'll be team number 9 in our playoff previews here at IllinoisPrep.com.